Okay, so record timer and introduction. So hi folks, thanks for streaming. This episode of Yumio to Ohanashi features the author of Cutter's Deep, Tales from Parkland, and James' Journey to Dreamland, and the several short stories published in anthologies and as audio versions. Ronald McGillvray from Ottawa, Canada. Thanks for joining here, Alon. So can you briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. Well,
Yes.
you pretty well summed it up.
Thank you.
My name is Ron McGillvray. I'm from Canada, born and raised.
Born and raised.
I write mostly horror, dark fantasy genre.
Dark fantasy genre. So let's say you wrote the 3 books so far. Are they just only one volume or serialization? What do we call like a volume 1, volume 2, or volume 3?
No, they're all 3 separate ones.
Separate ones.
The new novel, which just came out this year, Cutter's Deep, is a standalone. It's sort of about a very strange town that lures people to their doom, so to speak. And there's 2 main characters, Arlington and Claire, who one's an outsider and one actually lives there, and they join together to try to figure out the mystery of Cutter's Deep.
I see. Sounds like the novel version of Silent Hill. That's a pretty famous PlayStation game or some Stephen King's novel. And first of all, can you share your latest accomplishment or temporary goal?
Well, my newest one would be my novel, Cutter's Deep, which just came out this year. It was quite a feat to get through. I'd never written anything that big because Tales from the Parkland is a short story collection. And James' Journey to Dreamland is a novella. So it's been through a lot of different attempts at writing a novel and failed at it. This was my first one that I actually managed to finish, and it was almost 400 pages. So
that's
it was a big one.
It's epic.
Yeah. Currently, sorry, I was gonna say currently I'm working on a new novel right now.
I see. So you said the Cutter's Deep. This one's the latest one. And when did this one release? This year's summer or
Cutter's
fall?
Deep this year in March.
Oh, March. So that's gonna be I see nearly 1 year ago. I see. And how about the including everything published or not? How many stories have you completed so far?
I guess about 12 short stories.
12. Amazing.
2 novellas, 1 novel, an audio version of a short story, and one play and one film.
I see. A film means a screenwriting.
Yeah.
I see. So you pretty much challenge everything that is.
I
huge
like spaghetti. Throw it against the wall, see what sticks.
Yes, I think that is pretty important for every writer to challenge everything, because some novelist doesn't like challenging a screenwriting because screenwriting is totally different from novel. So
yeah, well, I found with I really enjoyed screenwriting, but the problem with screenwriting I found is your think of the word, you're so dependent on other people.
Yes, I understand.
And there was a few films where I wrote, and as the writer, you're the first stage. You write the whole thing. So it's your work, and then everyone's like, oh, we love it, and then it never gets made, or goes down, one of those things where it never happens. And after a while, you're kind of like, I did all that work and there's a lot you can do with it. And so that's when I started writing sort of shorter stories and stuff, because you can write it and then it gets published.
So how about which genre do you think you're good at?
For me, it would be definitely horror and dark fantasy. I've written mysteries as well as humor, but I guess I feel more at home, and my horror and dark fantasy is more popular.
I see. Dark fantasy and horror. Yes, these things share kind of a very common nature, and because we kind of want to see something deep. And how about how do you brainstorm when composing new scenes, dialogues, characters, and so
on? It's pretty well. I'm set in my ways now, I guess. I have like notepads all over the house, and anything can trigger a thought. You see something, and you're like, oh. So I write the ideas down on pads all over, and then every so often I gather all those notes and I put them. I don't know if you can see from here.
Yes, I can see it.
A board here, and then I take them out of my notepad and I put them on bigger sheets here.
Pretty much like a workstation here.
Yeah, and then once I decide which story I'm going to work on, I have a sort of a strange way of doing it. I outline 3 chapters. Then after I finished outlining 3, I go back and I write it out, those 3 chapters in good. Then I outline another 3, and so on and so forth. And then about halfway, I'll go back and I'll do a rewrite of the whole thing just to try to see where the whole story's going, and then continue on.
So you kind of prefer those kind of analog way, like such as writing a memo instead of taking the notes with digital things such as emails or text messages?
Yeah, I do everything by hand. I'm old school that way. But then I get on my MacBook and I write everything on the MacBook. But
yes, because when I'm kind of walking outside and coming up with good ideas, I try to text message me by myself. Just the keywords. So I see. And how about do you prefer composing a new story once your ongoing WIP is pretty much done, or do you stick to a heavy revision?
For me, I only work on one story at a time. I find that all my ideas, I gotta be very focused, because in the early days of my writing, years or decades ago, I found that I'd be working on a story, and then I'd get a new idea, and then I wouldn't want to work on the old story, because you always want to work on, the new idea is always the best, So I found it very distracting, and that was one of the hardest things for me as a writer was, to be focused. You got to be focused on one story for me. Otherwise, I'll lose interest in it. So it's always one story. The only time that'll change is if I owe a short story for an anthology. Then I'll take a break from a longer work and work on a short story, but never 2 big projects at the same time.
I see. Focusing on one. How about can you name your recommended 3 books that quickly popped up in your mind?
Well, the ones I guess that that really I guess had a major impact on my writing style and want to do right. There's the God Wolf manuscript by Robert B. Parker. The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Okay, Conan Doyle.
I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. Yeah, kind of 3 different sort of things. I mean, 2 are sort of more mystery, because the God Wolf manuscript's sort of a private eye. I loved everything by Robert B. Parker. His whole writing style is, I try to emulate him as close as possible.
Yes, one of the major authors that I got impacted was Edogawa Rampo in Japan, Japanese novelist who writes a horror and a mystery, and he took his name from Edgar Allan Poe. That's why his name is pen name is Edogawa Rampo.
Okay.
Yes, and how about your favorite films, TV, music, or any type of audio visual entertainment?
Movie-wise, it would probably be Night of the Living Dead, because that changed my whole outlook on horror.
Yes, I think that film impacted a lot of those people at the 70s or 80s, I think.
Yeah, it was it just opened my eyes to what you could do. For TV, I really liked the X-Files, because it kind of blended sort of mystery with sort of horror, science fiction aspects.
I've noticed that your recent tweet, you referred to The Exorcist, a director's cut version. So do you prefer DC version or the original?
They're not all that much different. The one thing about the extended one, I guess how I preferred it was because one, it has that really creepy scene with her coming down the stairs backwards, kind of like that spider walk. Also the sort of the ending kind of sort of blends into the final episode, sort of answers sort of questions. So if you're a completist and watched all the versions 1, 2, and 3, then it's good that way. And plus they added some CGI, where you see
I heard that.
demon cut. So
yes, I think the Exorcist 3 was pretty underrated because I think Exorcist 3 did pretty well, especially in the hospital scene where the nurse was walking and suddenly the one coming from behind. So that's pretty much underrated, I think.
Yeah,
and also you refer to those analog records, such as you recently referred to Close to the Edge or YouTube War. I think many people, kind of people who experience a cassette, CD, MD, or streaming will often go back to analog. I think one of my friends who loves collecting analog right now.
Yeah, well, I had a big record collection when I was younger because that's all we listened to really. And I just carted it from place to place. And my wife was, why are you keeping this? And I was like, oh, maybe one day. And then sure enough, now everyone's into, records. I mean, they have the nice album covers, which you don't get anymore, And so I thought to myself, I should start pulling them out, listening to them. And then I thought, I'm going to post up. Maybe people will be interested in looking at, albums.
My friend said the same thing. My friend's wife said, why you collect these things? And wife's never understands the hobby. So
yeah, I know.
I see. So we're kind of close to the time. So let's wrap up. So any message to those watching this interview?
Well, if you want to know any more about me, you can check out my website at www.ronaldmcgillvray.com.
Oh, your name, full name.
Yeah. Try to keep it simple. Yeah. Or I also have a podcast where I talk about genre stuff, books, movies, video games. It's called the Postmortem Report.
A Postmortem Report. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And finally, what is the most encouraging phrase that you recite when you want to pump up your motivation or crawl out from rock bottom?
Well, the one definitely for me that I don't know where I heard it from, but it was if you write one page a day, you'll have at the end of the year 365 pages.
300 pages.
And it really put things in perspective for me. So that sort of, because sometimes you're just like, oh, I'm just not in the mood to write. But you're like, you know what? If you sit down, write that one page.
Yes.
It grows. And half the time, sitting down is the hardest part. Once you've written that one page, you're sort of into it and you'll write more. But if you convince yourself psychologically, I'm going to write one page, then, it makes it easier to sit down in front of that computer.
Continuation or doing things constantly is pretty important for any kind of writers, I think.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so thank you very much, Ron. So his works are called Cutter's Deep, Tales from the Parkland, and Jane's Journey to Dreamland. So folks, if you're interested in Ron, please pick his work and follow his account at RONMCGILLVRAY. Truly appreciate your participation in this segment, Ron. Wish you great success, and we'll keep in touch.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.